All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at some of the topics that we covered that help us get ready for this test. So the topic. Oh, all right. All
Wait,
right,
did you say?
Go ahead.
Did you say the test was 10 questions?
No, I said yes, the test is 10 questions long. Yes.
Oh, I got to do good. Okay, let's get going.
All right. So for the test, the first section that we will be covering is transformations.
Okay.
Right, and for linear transformations, the first thing you have to do is excuse me, understand what different numbers mean when you have a transformation. So if I have a function f of x is equals to, say, for example, 2 times x plus 3 squared plus 8, well, you have to know what each of these numbers mean, right? The plus 3 right here means that the graph is going left 3 units. So this is a horizontal shift. The plus 8 right here means the graph is going to go up 8 units. And of course, the 2 out front right here, that's a vertical stretch by factor 2. You're going to multiply all the x values, all the y values by 2.
How do you know vertical from horizontal?
A horizontal. So the ones that's inside the parentheses are horizontal. And what's outside the parentheses is vertical.
Okay, so inside is H. Outside is vertical. Okay.
Right. And when you're on the inside, you do the opposite. When you're on the outside, you do regular.
Oh yeah, I know that, like positive is left and then negative is right.
Right. All right. And so that's the first thing we need to understand about our linear transformations, is what each of the values mean. The second thing we need to understand is that if I had a different function, say g of x, and g of x is simply x squared, then I can do this instead. I can say 2 times g of x plus 3 plus 8. And since g of x is x squared, this is the same thing as f of x. And so there are 2 different formats for writing your linear transformations. All right. Questions there? All right.
Can you go over that just like briefly a little bit more? Because I'm still a little confused.
All right. So let's say g of x right here is equal to x squared, correct? Then if I say 2 times g of x, that's going to mean 2 times x squared. Okay. If I say g of x plus 3, then that's going to mean x plus 3 squared.
Okay, got it.
If I say g of x plus 8, that's going to mean x squared plus 8. So if I put all of that together, 2 right here multiplied by g of x plus 3 right here plus 8, that's going to mean 2 times x plus 3 squared plus 8. All right. The thing that throws students off is that in this one right here, I don't see x squared anyways. You have to remember that it's established right here that g is an x squared function. All right. Okay, let me get you guys to think a little bit. Let's say I have a function h of x, and I say h of x is the absolute value of x. Can you write the equation for h of x after it's been shifted to the right 4 units and shifted up 6 units. So the next thing we need to be able to do is I be able to write out that new function. I'm telling you h of x is equals to x, absolute value of x. Can you give the adjusted h of x function or a new function after it's been done these right here? Can you tell me what the answer is going to be?
X minus what? 4 plus
4.
6. Oh, close the thingies
Oh.
though. The absolute value.
And yes, and so this would be the correct thing right here. This graph has been shifted 4 units to the right and 6 units up. How about this one? H of x is equal to x to the third power, the cubic function. And after it's been reflected over the x-axis and shifted 2 units to the right, and down 1 unit. Can you give me the equation for this function right here?
Don't you put the 3 on the outside, right?
The 3
is that-
goes on the outside of the parentheses, yes.
But it goes in like the front, right?
This 3 right here?
Yeah, doesn't that the one that go in the front?
No. That 3 goes outside the parentheses right here.
Oh. So it would be x what?
X to the third power, and then I think.
So your x minus 2 to the third power?
Yeah.
So it's shifting right, so it's going to be x minus 2 to the third power.
Minus 1.
It's going down, right? So minus 1, and
You said and?
yeah, 1 more.
I thought that was it.
1 more.
I'm gonna
Reflected.
let you take care of that one, Destiny.
It's reflected over, so -1. What else would it be?
A minus sign in front of the function. When you multiply by a negative, that causes the graph to reflect over the x-axis.
Okay, so when it's one in the front, okay. So when it be like, okay, I think I get it.
Okay.
So reflected, you just put the negative.
Right.
So when you just do, it's just a negative, right? That's it.
Yes, ma'am. So for example, if I have let's go x raised to the third power, I have a function right here. See, that's that function right here. If I was to put negative x to the third power, so negative x raised to the third power, I'm going to get the same graphs. Notice right here, now it's upside down in blue. It got reflected over the x-axis. Let me turn this one off. You can see right here, I get the upside down. All right. And so putting that minus sign in front of the function causes it to flip upside down. Or in other words, reflected over the x-axis. Questions there?
So on the test, are you gonna give us what, like the written way, and you want us to write it in the like the transformation? How are you gonna give it to us on the test?
Yes, we're going to give it to you both ways. We're going to give it to you. Let me go back. We're going to give it to you in both ways on the test. So one way is going to be like this. Hey, I have this right here. What are the transformation? But we're also going to give it the other way. Hey, I have this function, and these are the things that are happening to it. Can you write this out for me and put this in the box?
Oh, okay, okay.
And we're also going to ask you about the graphs of the functions as well, right? And so if I have, for
Wait,
example,
did you say you're gonna ask us to graph the functions?
not to graph, to select the graph. You know how,
Oh,
Okay,
oh, okay.
yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
meant okay. I
Okay,
thought
I
you
was
meant
about to say
like
because
to graph it.
oh, to graph them, you just need to make a table of values. You know that, right? So to graphing them is not that hard, right?
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
I
I
was
suck
well,
at
no,
graphing. I don't know.
sometimes it can be a little too much.
A little too much, you say.
Like if I
Yes,
gotta reflect it, like you saying, I gotta flip it and do all of this, like
it's a lot.
So for example, if I have the graph f of x is equals to negative, and then I have, say, x plus 2 squared minus 3, we can ask you to graph this function. Of course, what that means is, you'd select the graph from, maybe 4 graphs, right?
okay, this test might not be that bad.
And then,
Yeah.
hold on. And to do this right here, make a table of values. And you have 2 options of making the table of values. The one option is to make a table of values for x squared, which is x comma 1, -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, 4, 1, 0, 1, and 4. And then you see the +2 right here, it means I'm going left 2. It means I'm going to subtract 2 from all of my x values. So that's going to be -4, subtract 2, -3, -2, -1, and 0. And then you see the outside ones, the negative sign and the -3, means I'm going to have to multiply by -1 and then subtract 3. So multiply by -1 and then subtract 3. Yes, you guys remember this? And so 4 multiplied by -1 is -4. And then when I subtract 3, that gives me an answer of -7. Yes? Y'all ain't gone quiet on me. You okay?
Yes, I remember that.
All right. But you also have a second option. Once you see you have these x values, you can simply take them and plug them into the function, and you will get the same answer. Right? If I plug 4 in right here, that's going to be -4 plus 2 squared minus 3. That's going to be -6 squared. Something is wrong. Oh, I'm plugging in not negative. Yeah, it was -4. Subtract 2. Why is it getting -7? +2, so I'm going to the left 2. Yeah. That should give me the same answer. 7. 4 times 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Oh, I see the problem. It should be -4. There we go. I was about to say. Plug in -4. So -4 plus 2 is -2. Minus 3. -2 squared, that's 4. So that's going to be -4 minus 3. And of course, it gives us -7. Again, a different way to get to the same answer. But the point is, you complete the table. 1 times -1 is -1. Minus 3 is -4. 0 times -1 is 0. That's going to be -3. And then you just plot those, and that will give you the graph of the function, right? Or you just look for the graph that has those points in there. So -4, -7, -3, -4, -2, -3. And then you get your upside down parabola. Questions there?
No.
All right. All right, so that's the first section on the graph right here. The next section on the graph is going to be your quadratic functions. And there are going to be lots and lots of questions on your quadratic functions. Right?
That's a long process right there.
Yes. That's part of the problem of the test is you're going to run out of time. You have to work quickly. So let's say I have this question right here. 18 z squared minus 65z is equals to 72. And I want to solve this question by factoring.
Yeah, you would get the GCF.
You have to take the 72 over first. 65z minus 72 equals 0. Yeah, so is there a number that divides into all of these? 6 plus 5 is 11.
Oh wait,
6.
no, 60. Oh, you messed it up with the 65. I thought that was a 2 or something. I was gonna say, yeah, no.
That's the so yeah, so that's a huge number, and we have to try and factor this out. Now we have several options to try and factor this out right here. But when you have something such large numbers, your best option is to guess and check. So I'm going to have a z here. I'm going to have a z here. And what happens is 18, I got to split 18 up. I'm just going to guess for now 9 and 2. Right? Because 9 and 2 multiply to give me excuse me. Because 9 and 2 multiply to give me 18, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then 72, I'm going to split that 72 up. 8 and 9, I think, multiply to give me 72. So I'm going to put, again, I'm just guessing right here, 9 and 8. And what you have to do is you got to FOIL this thing out to see if it's the right guess. 9 times 2 is 18 z squared. 9 times 8 is subtract 72z. 9 times 2 is negative 18z. And then 9 times 8 is going to be, oh, one of these needs, oh, that doesn't work. One of these needs to be positive.
Trash when I leave.
Let's make this a plus. Say it again?
My bad, I was talking to myself.
Oh, okay. So 9 times 8, that's plus 72. 9 times 2 is 18, and then that's going to be minus 72. Now, does that give me negative 75? I don't.
You said there's what?
There's 18z squared. 72 minus 20 is 52. That's giving me plus 54z minus 72. All right, so you see, this guess is wrong because I didn't get negative 65. All right, and so it means I need to go back and I need to try again, switching the numbers around. What I'm going to do is switch the 9 and the 8. And
Or
so,
make, I mean, oh no, you would probably need to leave both negative to make a positive.
no, well, no, one has to be positive, one has to be negative.
Yeah, but you have two. I'm about to say you had 2 negatives there.
Oh yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. So again, 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 9 is 81. See, 8 times 2 is 16. See, and then 8 times 9 is negative 72. And that's, sorry, 18z squared. My signs are off. 9 times 9, 81. Oh, it should be negative 16z, sorry. There we go. Again, like you see, I'm just trying this out so I can see how close I can get to the answer. 81 minus 16 is 65, right? Yeah, there we go. Minus 72, which is almost right. It should be negative 65, not positive 65. And so what that simply means is, hold on. And what that simply means is that I need to switch the signs. This needs to be plus, this needs to be minus. So this needs to be minus, this needs to be plus, and then that will cause the sign right here, these signs to flip. This one here will flip.
So the question is to solve by factoring.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out what the question was.
Yeah, solve by factoring. And so then the 65 becomes negative. And so that means I now have factored the equation. Okay. So and therefore I can simply go 9z plus 8 equals 0. And 2z minus 9 equals 0. 9z equals negative 8 divided by 9. Z equals negative 8 over 9. Add 9, add 9. 2z equals 9.
Is it 9/2?
And
Yeah.
z equals 9/2. And those are your two answers. Questions there?
No.
All right. All right, so we're back to recording. All right, yeah, so now that's the first one. You need to be able to factor equations. The other thing you need to be able to solve by completing the square. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that if a question says solve by completing the square, that most likely means it cannot be factored. So if you try to factor and you get an answer, you need to be aware that there's a high probability that that answer is not correct. All right, that's something you need to keep in mind. So let's try this question right here. X squared plus 8x minus 2 is equal to 0. And I want to solve this by completing the square. The first step is to clear out the constant. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides to cancel out the constant. 8x squared plus 8x, I'm going to leave a space, is equal to 2. The reason why we're clearing out the constant is because the constant is the wrong value that completes the square. We use the formula b divided by 2 squared to get the right answer that completes the square. In this case right here, b is 8. And so it's going to be 8 divided by 2 squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add 16 to both sides of the equation to complete the square and to keep the equation balanced. Okay, this right here is the number that completes the square. Question there. We simplify each side. 2 plus 16 is 18. And then we factor this side right here. X squared plus 8x plus 16. 16 and 8. I need two numbers that multiply, give me 16, and add, give me 4, and add, give me 8. The numbers are 4 and 4. And so this is going to be x plus 4 times x plus 4, which is going to be x plus 4 squared. Right? Now, of course, we could have just applied the shortcut and then just go divide this by 2. No, sorry, take the square root of this number. Or rather, divide this by 2. That's what I was trying to say. 8 divided by 2 is 4. That's how you get the 4 right here. Questions there? I think I said a lot. All right, and so we now have x plus 4 squared is equals to 18. You take the square root on both sides. X plus 4 is equals to plus or minus radical 18. Do you want to give your answer in simplified form? So 18 is made up of 9 times 2, where 9 is the largest perfect square that divides into 18. And therefore, the square root of 18 is going to be the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. So this is x plus 4 equals plus or minus 3 radical 2. Questions there? And so the last step is to subtract 4 from both sides. And so x is equals to -4 plus or minus 3 radical 2. Questions there, you guys? And so that's going to, you write that as -4 plus 3 radical 2, comma, -4 minus 3 radical 2, right, as two separate answers. Questions there on completing the square? Comments? Queries? All right. We could have asked also about the quadratic formula. So let's say I have the expression, say x squared plus 10x minus 2 is equal to 0. And you want to solve by using the quadratic formula. Of course, we will not give you the quadratic formula. You do have to have it memorized. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. A's 1, B's 10, and MC's -2. Yes? Ms. Kimani, you there? Still don't know. All right. And then I just plug those in and I carefully do the mathematics, carefully. That's going to be -10 plus or minus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times -2. And a lot of students forget it's the entire thing that's been divided by 2 times 1. A lot of students only do this right here. They just do the line this way. But that's not correct. It's the entire thing that's been divided. Questions there? That's going to be -10 plus or minus the square root of 100 plus 8 divided by 2. That's going to be -10 plus or minus the square root of 108 divided by 2. Sheesh, man. Who comes up with these things? Now, 108, I need to simplify that. That is 4 times 27. But 27 is 9 times 3, right? 9 times 3. So what's 4 times 9? 4 times 9 is 36. That means 108 is 36 times 3. Didn't see that coming. All right, so what happens when I split it out? See, the number 4 is the perfect square. 27 still had a perfect square in there. And so I had to break it out. The square root of 108 is therefore the square root of 36 times the square root of 3, which is 6 root 3. That's going to be -10 plus or minus 6 root 3 over 2. Because the quadratic formula, you split it up into 2 pieces. That's going to be -10 over 2 plus or minus 6 root 3 over 2. And then after I simplify, -10 divided by 2 is -5. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's going to be our function. Questions there? Comments? Queries? Concerns? All right, hearing no questions then. Yeah, so you definitely need to learn how to complete the square, how to use the quadratic formula. But you also have to be able to work equations of quadratic form. So if I have something like, for example, say x plus 9 squared minus 7 times x plus 9 minus 18 is equal to 0. Because we have something in common in the parentheses, that is x plus 9, we can say let letter m represent x plus 9. And so then what that allows us to do is, instead of writing x plus 9, I can simply write m. And then this becomes a much easier equation to factor. Questions there? There's one right here. 1 times 18 is negative 18. And there's a negative 7 right here. So that's going to be a negative 7. Can you think of two numbers that when you multiply them together, you get negative 18? And when you add them, you get negative 7? Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Anybody? Oh man, nobody's there. Oh, that's so sad. Unless you guys are muted. Well, that's going to be negative 9 plus 2. Because m is 1, we can use the shortcut. That's going to simply be m minus 9 times m plus 2 equaling 0. And so I get then that m equals 9 and m equals negative 2.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
She was saying, where did you get the 1 from? But didn't you get the 1 from, you just put the 1 in front of the m as a placeholder, correct?
Yes, that's right. If there is no number in front of m, there's a 1 right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're just simplifying the mathematical notation by not writing too many extra numbers.
Okay, so yeah, the 1 is in there because the 1 is put in place in front of the m.
The only reason I put it here because you have to remember you multiply this times this to get the number. 1 times negative 18 is negative 18.
Yeah, I was just trying to get her some clarification because she put it in the chat. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I didn't see that. All right, thank you. And of course, though, m is actually x plus 9. M represents x plus 9. M and x plus 9 are the same thing. And so instead of writing m, I can simply write x plus 9. And over here, x plus 9 equals negative 2. And then from here, I just need to subtract 9 from both sides. X equals 0. Subtract 9 over here. X equals negative 11. And those would be our two answers. Questions there? Now, I have seen some students do this before, which is not wrong. It's just much harder. Minus 7 times x plus 9 minus 18. If they try to follow that, right? X plus 9 squared. X times x is x squared. X times 9 is plus 9x. 9 times x is plus 9x. 9 times 9 is plus 81. And so it's going to be x squared plus 18x plus 81 minus 7x minus what's 7 times 9? 63 minus 18 equals 0. And so that's going to be x squared. This and this combines to give us 11x. And then this and this was 81 minus 63. 81 minus 60 is 21. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. That's actually going to all give us 0. Because all of this 81 plus this is 18. 18 minus 18 is 0. And then you can factor this right here. It's going to be x times x plus 11. And so x equals 0. And then x equals 11. That looks like a 4. And again, you get the same answers. This method is a little bit faster, especially sometimes when the numbers are huge. For example, if I had like a 15 in here or a 27 in here, sometimes these things become impossible to factor because they're so large. But if you just go ahead and you use the M method, it simplifies much more easily. But the point is both ways work. And then depending on how much time you have on test, either way will get you to the answer. Questions there? All right. Okay, now the next section right here is analysis of quadratic functions. And they give us a quadratic function. In this, for example, f of x is equals to -1/2 x squared minus 4x plus 10. And then they ask us questions about this quadratic function. For example, what direction does this graph open? Does it open upwards or open downwards?
Opens upward.
It opens down, right?
Oh no, it'll be down. No, it's down. It's down.
Look at the value of a. If a is negative, it opens
It-
downwards.
Yeah.
If a is positive, it opens upwards. And so this function right here opens down. This also means that it has a maximum value. Yes? If it opened the other way, it would have a minimum value. That's the first thing they ask. The next thing they ask is for us to find the intercepts.
Oh, intercepts aren't bad.
So find the y-intercepts. That means you have to plug in 0 for x. So that's going to be
For this test to be 10 questions, boy, is it a lot?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, we're
Hence,
gonna
I
be
never
doing 10
did it.
questions, but we're gonna be on one question for 10 minutes.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, oh yeah, I
Literally.
can already see this gonna be
Oh.
a 10 question. One of them ones that's all right.
Oh, I
Gonna
definitely.
all day.
Wait, we
I
get an hour. No, we get an hour, right?
Yes.
I don't think I finished last. No, last time I ain't even had time to finish.
And that's why you have to practice. The more you practice, the faster you get.
No, that's because we couldn't use the calc. Like y'all don't understand. I think that's not using the calculator hurting us. I mean helping us, but it's really not.
I understand that, but literally, the only way you can get better is by practicing. The more you practice, the faster you get. All right. So you have your I have found the y-intercepts. The next thing they ask us to do is find the x-intercepts. Trust me, you're not the first student who's told me that, we're not going to have enough time. And so you set the equation equal to 0. So -1/2 x squared minus 4x plus 10 is equal to 0. Now, I don't like the -1/2 out front. And so I'm just going to multiply everything by -2. -2 times this will leave us with just x squared. -2 times this gives us plus 8x. -2 times 10 is going to be minus 20. And of course, -2 times 0 is 0. And so now I can factor this. Again, there's a 1 out front right here. 1 times x, that's -20. And the middle number is 8. I need two numbers. When I multiply them together, I get -20. And when I add them, I get 8. I believe those numbers are 10 and -2. Okay, go. And so this factors into x plus 10 times x minus 2 equaling 0. X equals -10, x equals 2. And those are our two x-intercepts. Again, the question would literally tell you, hey, find the x-intercept. Hey, find, so it will tell you, it'll help you out, tell you what to do. Questions, it'll tell you, do this step, do this step. Question there. The question can ask you to find the axis of symmetry. The formula for the axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative b over 2a. Let me rewrite the problem down for you. F of x equals negative 1/2 x squared minus 4x plus 10. That means that a equals negative 1/2 and b is equals to negative 4. The axis of symmetry is going to be negative 4, that's b, divided by 2 times negative 1/2. Oof, that's a lot of minus sign. A negative and a negative is going to be a positive. 2 times 1/2 is going to be 1. And so the axis of symmetry is going to be negative 4. X equals negative 4. You have to put the x equals in there, or you will not understand the answer. Questions there? Comments? It will then go on to ask you to find the vertex. And the vertex is simply going to be x comma y, but we already have the x coordinate. The x coordinate is going to be the same answer. This right here gives us the x coordinate of the vertex. And that's why you always find the axis of symmetry first, because once you find the axis of symmetry, you're doing two things at the same time. All right, the answer is going to have take negative 4 and plug it in. And so that's going to be negative 1/2. 4 squared is 16. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 8 plus 16 plus 10. That's going to be 18. And so the coordinates for the vertex is going to be negative 4, 18. Questions there? The next thing they'll ask you to do is to graph the function. Or select the graph of the function. You know how it is on the internet machine. Well, I know the y-intercept is 10. The x-intercepts are 2 and negative 10. And I know that the vertex is at negative 4, 18. And I know the graph opens downwards. So this right here will be the graph of the function. And of course, the axis of symmetry is going to come down right down the middle. X equaling negative 4, axis of symmetry. Questions there? Comments? Queries? And the last thing they ask right here is the domain and the range. The domain is easy. The domain is always all real numbers. While the range, the graph is going down forever. So it's going to be negative infinity. And the highest value is 18. Just remember, put the square bracket on that number because the graph does go through 18. They can ask for the maximum or minimum value. This graph will have a maximum value of 18. right? The vertex contains the maximum value. And they can ask whether the graph is increasing and whether the graph is decreasing. The graph is increasing from negative infinity until -4. And the graph is decreasing from -4 to infinity. If you look at the axis of symmetry, the axis of symmetry splits the graph in half. On one side over here, the graph is increasing. And then the other side over here, the graph is decreasing. Yes? Well, now that I know that, the axis of symmetry is middle. The graph from here to here, from negative infinity until -4, the graph is increasing. Because between here and here, the graph is going up. And then on the other side of the axis of symmetry, from here to infinity, -4 to infinity, the graph is decreasing, coming on down. And so the moral of the story is the axis of symmetry splits the graph. And so these two numbers, they simply come from the axis of symmetry. You just have to determine which side it's increasing on and which side it's decreasing on. Since it's decreasing over here, it's decreasing on the plus infinity side. So it's decreasing from -4 to infinity. And over here, it's increasing on the negative infinity side. And so it's going to be negative infinity to -4. Questions there? Comments? Queries? Concerns? All right, hearing none. And the last thing that we ask for about is your solving inequalities. So it might be, for example, solve, and they might have, for example, say x squared plus 2x, when is this right here, greater than or equal to 3? Well, to solve this right here, you're first going to have to move the 3 over. And so it's going to be x squared plus 2x minus 3 is greater than 0. And then you're going to have to factor this. This factors into x plus 3x minus 1 is greater than 0. And so, and this is when our problem starts to occur. If I was to solve this equation, this is really easy. Equals 0. X is equal to 3. X is equals to positive. X equals -3. I said it was easy, didn't I? X equals to -3. X is equals to 1. However, for an inequality, it is not that simple. For an inequality, what you have to do is you have to draw a number line. And on that number line, you have to put those two zeros. So this right here is going to be -3. And this right here is going to be 1. And what you have to do is test each of these regions to see which one of these holds to the inequality. So this region right here are numbers that are between -infinity and -3. And so what I have to do is I have to choose a number between -infinity and -3. For example, -10. I will call this a test point of -10. Again, I could have chosen any number. It just had to be between -infinity and -3. I could have chosen -4. I could have chosen -12.5. I could have chosen -17. For example, I couldn't choose 0 because 0 is over here, right? I couldn't choose 0 for this region right here. Now that I have chosen my number, I have to check the inequality. So I'm checking the inequality. So I'm going -10 plus 3 multiplied by -10 minus 1. and I'm asking the question. There's a question mark right here. Is that greater than 0? And I'm asking the question, will this give me an answer that is greater than 0? And so let's plug those numbers in. Oh, let's work it out. Negative 10 minus 3 is negative 7. Negative 10 minus 1 is negative 11. Excuse me. When you multiply a negative number by a negative number, the answer is going to be positive, right? Is a positive number greater than 0? Yes, it is. And so it means that part of the solution will be any number that's between negative infinity and negative 3. Questions there if I try again. Remember, I could have selected any number between negative infinity and negative 3. I could have used negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 6.5, any number in here. I would have gotten the same yes, the inequality is true. Now I have to try again, but for a number that's between a negative 3 and 1. I'm thinking I'm going to use 0. That's a nice number. So then let me do this process again. Let me check the inequality again. Plug in 0. So that's going to be 0 plus 3 times 0 minus 1. And I want to know, is this true? Is this less than 0? That's going to be 3 times negative 1. Is that less than 0? No, it's not. Right? Sorry, is that greater than 0? No, it's not, because 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And negative 3 is not greater than 0. So that's going to be a no. And so therefore, we do not want numbers between negative 3 and 1, because that does not result in an answer that's greater than 0. All right, the last region between 1 and infinity. Can you give me a number you want me to try between 1 and infinity? No, no one's wants to give me a number between 1 and infinity. Say 65 million. That's between 1 and infinity. That works. Yes.
You said give you a number?
Yes.
Between
I'm
what?
going
What'd you say?
between 1 and infinity.
Um,
I already selected 2.5. Is that good, or you want to use a different number?
yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't matter. You just need to select the number that's in there. And again, we have to check the inequality to see if the inequality is correct.
What about 3?
Okay, all right, fine. We'll do 3. And so I'm plugging 3 in. That's going to be 3 plus 3 times 3 minus 1. And is that greater than 0? 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. That gives me 12. Is 12 larger than 0? Yes, it is. And so therefore, this is also part of the answer. So you put a U for union, and you say any number from 1 to infinity will also satisfy the inequality. On my number line that I have right here, I can shade it as well. Open circle, shade this region, right? And then open circle, and then shade this region. Questions there? But that's it. That's just about most of the topics that are on there. You just got to practice a little bit. Okay, I
Yeah,
love it.
I'm about to go to the math learning lab and get some more help on it because I need to make a good grade on this test.